Well, hello. I'm not going to wait till 11:55. I was going to start at 11:54, and just as I'm getting ready to go, the phone rings. I had forgotten to take it off the hook, and I had to go quick take it off the hook in the other room, and so now I'm running just a little bit late. It's at 45 instead of 44. Oh well. It's the way it goes sometimes. I can't always get it perfect. I just finished writing the blurb, and I haven't even sat down and done much thinking about it. I've been answering emails and talking on the phone and things this morning, but one of the things pertains to the emails that I've been getting, and the title for the video is "You've asked for updates on Swissindo and more." The question I am asked most is, how can I help? Several people have also asked me to provide more info about OPPT, Swissindo, NESARA, etc. I will share that which I can share, my perspective. I do not have the final word on anything, nor do I claim to have all the answers. What I do offer is honesty. I believe some of what I share is the truth, and some may be disinformation that resonates with me because I want it to be the truth. At this time, knowing what is true is a challenge at the very least. Truth is very often learned as part of a living process, not something delivered as a complete ready-made package of information labeled truth. I wish that it could be that easy. You know, some people read books and they think this book is the truth. I mean, they do that with sacred books like the Bhagavad Gita or the Bible or the Book of Mormon or some other religious text, the Quran, for example. And we all know that all of these, any reasonable person realizes that all of these have been doctored through the ages, especially ones that are ancient and old. They have not come down to us totally pristine in their original form, and even something is always lost in translations of things. So knowing the truth is a challenge. But I do want to update you somewhat on what's going on with Swissindo. The truth of the matter is, I don't know. I put in a request. It's got to be around 3 weeks ago now, I'm guessing, to Mr. Sugi, Mr. Sino, and I copied Mr. Aprianto on it. I reminded Mr. Aprianto a week or so ago that I hadn't heard anything. I still have no acknowledgement whatsoever, but I wanted to do, and am still willing to do, a video allowing Mr. Sugi to speak to the world from his heart. I do like a lot of what I know about Swissindo, but right now, quite honestly, it feels like I'm somewhat out of the loop. I could probably attend some of the meetings, but I've still chosen not to because some people thought that some people wanted me to only share what was approved, and I don't want to know anything, quite honestly, that they don't want shared. And right now, I'm not receiving any information that they do want shared. When Mr. Sugi is ready to share more, I'm sure I will be contacted and be able to do that. I do believe that what happened with the deportation, if you will, of the delegates from Africa because they were refused their extension of their visa to remain in Indonesia for an additional 60 days on top of the original 30 days, and instead they were sent back to Africa. I do believe that impacted Mr. Sugi and the people in Indonesia to a large extent. I also know that there's an election that was, I don't know if it's happened yet in Indonesia or not, but I know it was in this time frame, in this window, and I don't know what effect that has. Obviously that they deported Swissindo delegates who have diplomatic immunity. They sent them back home as what was the term that they used? immigrants seeking work or something like that, but that's not the term. There's an actual term, but I don't remember it off the top of my head. Uh, but it was not an honorable thing, an honorary thing, and I think that that greatly impacted what's happening with Swissindo. The telephone call that I received yesterday that I talked about in the video that's up right now, that's real interesting. They, of course, know about Mr. Sino. The man mentioned Benjamin Fulford and mentioned that other guy that's in Indonesia that's been working on this, Neil Keenan. And there's a lot of things going on right now. We're at that crossroad. Today is the day when we have this grand cardinal cross, and of course, it's that influence is lasting around this time. It's not all right at one particular moment. We're in that window of opportunity where everything is being challenged. Cross purposes are being revealed. Lots of confusion. Lots of confusion. I do want to believe that we are very close to some revelations that will break things wide open. I've been looking for that since 2011. I honestly believed in 2011 that by the end of October, a lot of things would have changed. I made predictions in 2011 and in 2012 that certain things by the end of that year would have been accomplished, and one of those was that the republic would be reestablished in the United States, and that more people would know the truth, and that there would be a release of funding from the collateral accounts and whatnot. Since 2012 ended, I don't make predictions anymore. It's going to happen when it's going to happen. I refuse to get in a timeline thing of expectation that something is going to happen by a certain date. It's going to happen when it happens. And I do still believe in the principles of the OPPT filings, that the structure of the world, the corporate structure of the world, was foreclosed upon. I believe that's a legal document. I believe it holds weight. There are people that don't believe that. You can believe whatever you want. I resonated with that from the beginning because it is the truth that our governments and our corporations have been involved in criminal activity, in a human slave trade, as an extortion racket. Everything that they do is unlawful from a point of view of natural law. The whole system that we've lived in has been a system of lies. I believe in the intent as stated to me, and as I'm aware of it with Mr. Sugi, Mr. Sino. I believe in what they're doing. I believe that there is a real opportunity if we can employ those principles, the principles that the delegates brought to the table with Swissindo, if common law could be restored worldwide, if all of the technologies that have been withheld from the people, including free energy, which has now been released, but it's still not going to make much of a difference until it can be funded. There are people that are coming up with tremendous little programs that have the potential, if we could get them moving, to really create positive change. The ecosystem that's being produced by some people in the Netherlands primarily, and I'm communicating with some of those people. I think it has promise if it could ever be launched. But I don't know. I do believe still in NESARA, that there are certain principles of NESARA that have to come to pass. It takes the arrest and the curtailment of people that still run the old system. They are still able to, at least for all appearances, they are still able to operate with some impunity. This has to change, and I don't know what it's going to take to bring that change about. It's not going to be a matter of simply releasing money. Money cannot be released as long as these criminals sit at the top of the table. Now, the Alpha Omega thing that I talked about yesterday, that I read in the video yesterday, that's up today again. It's about cooperation, something that we do together. Well, I totally resonate with that. I totally agree. We're not going to create a world that works for everybody if we don't involve everybody's contribution to part of the program. That's just simply the way it is. It's common sense to me. It's true. But we've been brainwashed and conditioned and programmed by things that are not true. So knowing the truth is certainly a challenge. It's certainly something that's not easy to come by. Now, what can I do to help? The most important thing anybody can do is to be true to themselves, to trust your heart, to follow your heart and trust your gut, and to be as much in integrity as you know how to be. Nothing is going to help shift the consciousness of humanity more than the quantity of people that live in integrity and choose to be as truthful as you're capable of being. And truthful sometimes is, I don't know the answer. That's often the truth, because the answers are being created. It's not something, as I said, that comes in a ready-made package delivered to us in a book or something else that says, this is truth. No. Truth is a living thing. It goes through a process of revelation, of integration, of working through issues and working through problems that we all have to face, and coming to conclusions based on our experience. Trial and error is often the teacher that teaches us. And we're on the cusp of changing everything. How quickly that's going to happen and exactly what it's going to take and what the process is going to be is anybody's guess. My guess is that it's happening quickly. It's happening more quickly than anybody even imagines. But do I know that? As I said, since 2011, I've been thinking it was imminent. When I was in the Army in the 1960s, in the mid to late 1960s, I was thinking certain things were imminent back then that never happened. I wasn't even aware of a whole lot of things back then. And I was convinced because I wanted to believe something. Belief is a strong thing, but it's often you believe something that's not true. And how does it become true? It becomes true when it happens. Not until it happens can anything be true. There can be no true predictions because it's an unknown that hasn't been created yet. It hasn't occurred yet. We know truth when it happens, when it occurs, when we experience it. That's the only way we know truth. We cannot learn truth. Nobody can teach us truth. Truth is something that we experience as part of life. Truth is the foundation for loving. Without truth, there can be no love. If you're not in truth and telling the truth, you cannot be loving yourself or others. You can lie to yourself and say that you're loving and think that you're loving, but if you're not in truth, truth and love go hand in hand, and you can't have one without the other. It just doesn't work that way. Telling the truth is the most loving thing you can do in your personal life, in your business life, in your social life, in your sexual life, whatever. Telling the truth is the key. Being in integrity is the key. And what is integrity? Integrity is integrating the opposites. That's my definition. It's the best definition I can think of. And truth is part of integrity. It's integrating the masculine and the feminine, the light and the dark. It's integrating the positive and the negative. It's not leaving anything out. It's about wholeness. It's about coming together. It's about healing that which has been broken, that which has been wounded. It's about repairing the breach and fixing the problems. Truth. You've asked for updates. We're creating the updates. They are occurring in an organic fashion, not an organizational fashion. It's from the ground up, it's from within out. It's happening all over the planet. I don't believe anything can possibly stop it because I do believe it's the highest will in the universe for humanity and for the whole planet to ascend and to evolve beyond what we've ever known to be real before, into a new paradigm, a new dimension, a new reality. However that comes about, I'm not attached to it, whether it's Swissindo or somebody else that releases the collateral accounts and actually has the wealth flowing to people. I could care less as long as it happens because it's ours. And I believe it's inevitable that it will happen at some point. What that point is hasn't happened yet, so I don't know. We'll know when it happens. And I will share what I do know when I know it. And that's the best I can do. And all I've given you today is my perspective. And I thank you once again for listening. And I hope I've encouraged you to keep the faith, to keep hope alive, and to keep the will to create the best that can be created for the most people it can be created for, and hopefully for everyone. Namaste.